doing most of the talking today. She's the program manager for us, and she will go through the test and not the test, but a test, give you some examples of what the test will be like so that you'll be a little better prepared when you log on to take it. The News Fund, for those of you who are not aware, is a nonprofit that our sole mission really is to promote careers in journalism. And so what we try to do is match promising young people with opportunity. And the internship program is one of the most prominent examples of that. But we also have other programs too. But you're here to talk about the college internship test. So I'm going to turn it over to Heather, and she will hopefully answer any questions you have. And we look forward to seeing your applications.
Thank you, Shirley. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are recording this session and we will post a recording to our website if you want to circle back and look at anything. I have a short little presentation and then I'm going to dive in to last year's test so you can see what the actual platform looks like and get more familiar with it. So after you apply for our internship program, you're going to get an email from a platform called HireVue, which is traditionally a platform for interviews, but we've been able to make it work as a test. Before the pandemic, our tests were mailed out on paper to everyone, to go sit in a room with a proctor, a professor. But hopefully this new process is a lot easier and less cumbersome, and you can do it on your own convenience. So this online test, there's 6 sections. The first is a video question, which is really in lieu of an interview. This is our opportunity to meet you. The video question is not scored. So don't worry about, there's no right or wrong answer. This is really our opportunity to meet you and get to know you. So really, we want you to use that as an opportunity to let you speak from the heart, speak authentically about your interests. We want to get to meet you. Then the next section is the longest. It's 30 questions that covers current events, grammar, AP style, geography, US geography, and identifying public figures who are in the news this year. And then there's 4 other sections for each program: digital media, editing, business reporting, and data journalism. You have to take the complete test from start to finish for us to be able to get your score. So you can't say, you know what, I only care about digital media, I'm going to cut out of this after I'm done that and not take the rest. You have to take the whole test. It's also important to keep in mind that you might bomb the business reporting questions and ace the editing, and we score them differently. So don't worry, a bad score in one section won't negatively impact a score in another. And yeah, let me go. So the best ways to prepare for the test: Google top stories of the year. And keep in mind, we finalize this test by September 1st. So you're really looking at top news stories from January through August. We pull news from pulp culture, politics, natural disasters, unfortunately shootings, international affairs, science, health, medicine, medical, any major news that happened that were front page stories, in any of these areas, they could be potentially on the test. Refresh your knowledge of USA geography. We do have current events questions, and we ask you what state they happened in, and then you have to identify that state on a map. So definitely do a refresher and remember and learning where the US states are. And I'm going to show you on our website, you can download previous tests that are on our website and you can actually take them. And so that can be really helpful if you want to brush up on some of these areas, like maybe, especially like AP style questions or grammar questions. You might want to go through all of our old editing tests and pull those questions, because, we sometimes refresh common, I'll talk a little bit later about, our editing. We sort of go back to the same things that we're testing you on when it comes to AP style and grammar. Also, current events quizzes. I know the New York Times has a really good one that is weekly. They start in January. I think they took a break in the summer because it sort of aligns with the school year, but I would really strongly recommend looking at the New York Times current events quizzes. So the editing section. So the first section I said is, going to be current events, grammar, and AP style. And AP style also continues into the editing section. But when we're asking you AP style questions, the most common things we ask are things that you should know that are the things you most commonly need to go to when you're on the job. So numbers, titles, names, date lines, think of how do you write certain US cities, how do you write certain dates, states, when you think of numbers, I'm talking about dates, ages, times, measurement, money, currency, height, I don't know, width, just think of numbers, because you're constantly going to have to be able to write AP style for numbers, and you're gonna have to know. And so that's a key thing we test you on. Also, titles, acronyms, names, titles of movies. I'm trying to think of other things, things that you might be commonly having to turn to. So I'm sure you can find some quick cheat sheets on AP style and try to refresh your memory on those things. We also ask a lot of headline questions in our test. So knowing the differences and best practices between print, digital, and SEO headlines. In general, being familiar with SEO, we are launching a new section this year in audience engagement. And while there's not a standalone audience engagement section, we did add in a number of SEO questions to this year's test. So being familiar with best practices for an SEO is search engine optimization. So being familiar with those best practices and how to write headlines for different mediums, that's going to be really helpful for the editing portion. And also for grammar, think about commonly mistaken words, who, whom, is a classic example, and, but, to, I think that was on last year's test. So think of do some brush up on your grammar. For the digital media section, we're really, our digital media program, we are looking for students who are going to be working with video, photography, social media, and other digital tools. So we're really trying to test how digitally savvy you are. What is your digital literacy? Do you know that, what does a file, what do different file extensions for files mean? Do you know that? Do you know whatever, certain terms that we might throw around in the newsroom when you're working on the web desk, evergreen content? Or do you know, true or false? This is a question on a previous test I found, conversion rate for website visitors. So what are some web lingo that you might need to know if you're working on the web desk of a newspaper? What is a URL? A URL, we have some of these standard definitions, and you have to identify them. So these are just some previous questions that were pulled from previous tests to give you an idea, but we're testing digital literacy. The business reporting questions cover key concepts in major news in business and the economy. So you want to think about jobs, unemployment rates, real estate, markets, gas, shopping, currencies, all things, when you're trying to prepare for the business reporting section, think about what were the major business and economic stories this year? What was driving the headlines when you think of business and the economy in the US, and maybe even the economy globally? What are economic trends we've been seeing in the news? What are key concepts and definitions related to those items? So think about what were the big headlines, and then what do those key concepts mean? Could you define them? If you read a headline, could you define what that means? And then who are some key public figures related to our economy and the business world, knowing the certain institutions like the New York Stock Exchange or the Fed. What is the federal, Fed, when we say that? Who is the Treasury Secretary? So some of these big picture things within the business world. I think last year we also asked like key concepts and terms. Last year I think we asked about a unicorn. What is a unicorn? And investment. And then we also asked about like ESG. So we'll see. We're going to dive into last year's test so you could see, but that gives you an idea of the business reporting questions. And then for data journalism, these are key questions about data, mapping data, graphing, when best practices, or what's the best tool to visualize data or graph it. What about data integrity? Knowing different concepts for making sure your data is accurate and reflecting the truth. Sorry, at a loss for words of how to articulate that. So knowing the difference between mean, median, and mode would be a big help for you. Knowing how to calculate percentage change. And then how do you maintain accurate data? So all those type of questions. So Each of our 4 sections have an open-ended question. So for the editing section, there's an open-ended question. These questions are not graded, but we do review them. Last year, for example, we had a question that was a media ethics question. So while it wasn't graded, it was definitely, if we were on the fence about whether or not, we should select you, I might go to one of those, that media ethics question, see, well, let me see how they answered this question, to see if they understand media ethics. So, do take these open-ended questions seriously because we do look at them. In most cases, there's not a right or wrong answer. We just want to see how you think. We're giving you sort of a scenario and we're saying, what would you do? And that helps us inform your style as a reporter and how you would handle certain situations. So don't stress about them. Each one, we give you 10 minutes, and it's not because we think these need to be long, exhaustive answers. Some of them could take you 1 minute to answer. We just didn't want you to feel have a time crunch because some of the other questions you do only have 30 seconds to answer. So we just sort of said 10 minutes tops for these open-ended. But again, you don't have to take the full 10 minutes, nor should you feel like you should have to. I'm going to show you on our website where you can download our previous tests. All right, so I'm going to dive now into the actual test. And before I do, okay, let me screen share. I'm going to show you on our website. So if you go to Dow Jones News Fund and you go to programs right here on the left, if you guys can see that, it says practice test. So this is where you can download the previous test. So I'm going to just download really quickly the answer key because, whoops, I don't want you to see it in case I need to reference that while we're going through the test. But this is where you can download a blank and then do the answer key. So now I'm going to show you the actual platform. And are you guys still seeing my screen? Shirley, can you nod? Yep. Okay. Oops, I don't want to see that. All right. So after you apply, within 24 to 48 hours, I will generate an email from HireVue to go into your inbox. So I have to manually do this. So that's why I say, give me a day at least to get to it. So you go here and you'll get this email. It says estimated duration 85 minutes. The current test for this year says 90 minutes. It should not take you 90 minutes. People have been taking it, have been clocking in around like 45 minutes to an hour. So it should be about that. But when you're ready, you hit take the test. So you're going to need to be at a computer with a camera and a microphone. Okay, so if you want, you can try a practice question just to test your audio and video recording capabilities, but I'm going to skip ahead without doing that. So this is the first question. It's over here on the left. Describe your dream job out of college. You see here, no prep time limit. So you could be writing down notes about what you want to say, take a minute to think about it. I do stress, don't try to write an answer and then read it off the screen. It just sucks the life out of your personality and out of the presentation. We much rather see an authentic response. So when you're ready, just hit start recording. You only get one chance to record this response. So you say what you need to say. What is your dream job out of college? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you want to do. You could speak to, if you're applying for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs, all of them, share what you want to share with us as we're making our decisions. And then when you're ready, you hit done answering. So as I said, this next section is the longest. It's 30 questions that you get 30, for most of them only 30 seconds. So I'd love some audience participation. If you guys want to have your hand on the unmute button and call out answers as we go, that would be great. And you're going to find that after every answer, you're going to have this pause screen right here, which says click for next question. This screen is unlimited in time. So if you need to get up and go to the bathroom, you need to go have dinner, you need to take a break, you can. So this page never times out and goes on to the next question. But when you're ready, you hit next question. Here's the response time clock. As you see, it's counting down. Anyone want to shout out an answer?
I think it's the color purple.
No.
Nomadland.
Nomadland. Yeah. Can you guys see on the right are the options? You have to hit you have to select the response and then hit done answering within 30 seconds before the clock runs out.
Afghanistan.
Yes, that's correct. So I hit Afghanistan and I hit done answering.
Sri Lanka.
Haiti.
Haiti is correct.
Donating 8 billion.
Yes, that's correct.
Elon Musk.
I
Jeff
believe it's Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I can consult the after we can consult the other the guide, the answer key. So this is a little bit of a tricky question. This is one of the harder ones. You do have a minute. You see it says choose at least one. That means there's more than one right answer. And this is one of these questions we were asking to test if you read fake news or not.
They contain an inactivated germ of COVID-19.
No, they don't. That was how all other
They are the first mRNA vaccines to be produced and tested in large scale.
That's one of the correct answers. Yes. And there's a second.
They teach cells how to make
yeah.
a protein.
Yep, that's correct. So that's a tricky one. There's not too many of those. But so I selected those two and I hit done answering. Now, let's say you're in the middle of the test and your internet goes out. Oh my God, you start freaking out. Don't worry. All you have to do is go back into your email and hit take the test and it will resume where you left off. You can keep this in mind. Let's say your roommates come home, you have an emergency to go run to, you can close out of the test and resume it at a later time. Just, you have to remember, you have to finish the test. If you don't finish, we get no score and we do not look at your application. So, I do strongly recommend trying to get it all done in one shot. So here's the next question.
Uyghurs. Or if I said that
No.
right. No.
Indians?
Armenians is correct. I think the Uyghurs were being killed were being put in camps in China.
Reddit.
Yes. And for this one, notice it's ended at, you sometimes have to pay attention and scroll down. There might be on your screen one hidden. So in that case, Clubhouse wasn't showing, but Reddit is the correct answer.
Interior.
Interior. I heard someone say it.
Critical race.
DRT.
Yep. So you guys got this. Okay, so here's one of our first grammar questions. So we asked a lot of these about like sentence or the tenses, testing language, the sentence structure.
It's when Gabriella called Trevor had gone out.
That is correct.
I have lived in Ohio. I've been living in Ohio since 2004.
I have lived in Ohio. Number 3.
But.
Yep. Okay, here's your first AP style question.
Use
Full
First
name followed by
option.
acronym in parentheses.
Hey.
I think, or is it the first one?
It's the first one.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it'll, yeah. So here, this is addresses we're testing you on and numbers.
Heather, show
Is
them what
it-
happens when they don't answer in time.
Oh, okay, yeah. But you guys can jump out and answer it anyway. I just want to hit the done answer.
I think it would be either the third or the fourth one, but I'm not sure.
That you
believe it's the
abbreviate.
I believe it's the third one.
Yep, it's the third one. So I selected it. If I don't hit done answering before the clock runs out, you don't get the points for it. So that's what happens there. So you do have to be mindful to always hit done answering, but I'm just gonna let the time run out.
The last
The
one.
second option.
I believe it's second, right?
Yeah,
Shirley?
second.
I think, yeah, 7. I think ages, you write out the numeral. I mean, you
Yeah.
write,
That's
you
correct.
write the number. But then 3 puppies is the spelled out word because it's not an age, but it's a quantity. So
Correct.
sorry, it's a tricky. And again, these are hard. I know you gotta like stare at them and. So this is testing you on titles.
Isn't it the last one?
I think it's the
Yeah.
second one.
I
I think it's the last one.
I think it's the last one too.
think it's the last one. Shirley, let me go to let's go to the guide, unless Shirley knows it. Where are we? I always get these mixed up one. Yeah, the last one. So the thing to remember with titles, so if the title is before the name, it's capitalized. If it was after the name, I believe it's lowercase. And teller is not a formal title. That's why it's lowercase. Right, Shirley? Am I explaining that correctly?
Correct.
So if it was Maria Delgado, comma, Farmers Bank president, it would be lowercase.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this one, when we did it, it says in a story published today. So it, that's an important clue. And when we say which would these would be correct according to AP style.
I
It's
think
the
the
fourth
last
one. The last one, sorry.
Yes. So yeah, February is shortened and you don't put the year because it was published today. And it's in the same year. Okay, it says choose at least one. So that means there's more than one correct answer.
7 p.m. 11:45 p.m.
That's
12
it.
p.m.
It's 12. Don't you refer to me?
Yeah, but let's consult. Yeah, those are the two. C and E. You guys got them.
Them?
Is it
Is it the second to last?
the assailant? Let's see. Let's see what we say. Yep, the assailant. All right, fun. Now we get to identify public figures. Nicole Hannah Jones, very good. So we pull people from sports, politics, the news.
Minority leader in the House of Reps.
No. This is Chuck Schumer. Senator Chuck Schumer from New York.
Senate majority.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
First, I do have to do a second guess of like, wait, was he that last year? I can't, no. Sometimes it's a year back, so.
No. Oh,
Ten-
no.
Tennis?
Not for tennis.
Tennis.
None of
Oh,
the
none
above.
of the above.
Yeah.
Prince.
Prince Philip.
Phillips.
AOC.
The
From
former.
U.S. rep from New York.
US rep from New York, correct. Okay, we're gonna skip this one because this one seems to always confuse people. So I'm just gonna skip over that question. Okay, so this is a
14.
yes. So you answer you read the current events question, you identify the state on the map, and then you look over here. Keep in mind, I sometimes have a lot of numbers there to scroll down. So make sure you scroll down if you're not seeing the number that you want. But in this case, it is 14 and it's right there.
$10.
No.
15.
Yes, 15 is correct. And he's right now running for re-election. A very close race.
$46.
46.
Yep, that's correct. California, Governor Newsom. Okay, we asked the internet. I said we don't usually ask international, but it was Olympics, so we put in an international. You never know. We might throw a curveball.
2.
No, I think that was where the Winter Olympics were this year.
10.
No,
Oh,
Four.
that's not very much.
4. It was in Japan. And it was confusing too because of 2020, because of the pandemic, it was delayed a year, but I think it was like, yeah, it was like all messed up. So that finished the first section, which is the longest. The rest of the sections are going to be about 8 to 10 questions, depending on the section. If you guys want, I will go through some of those. So this is editing.
It's a direct quote. Don't change it.
Yes. Oh, and notice it says choose at least one. So that means there's more than one answer.
You could also paraphrase it,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
fourth one.
This one. Yep. So these two would be acceptable.
Do you have the victim's name?
I believe the
Is
answer.
the victim's race relevant?
Yes, is the victim's race relevant to the story? These are commonly mistaken words.
The breakdown is the 2 separate ones first and then together for the next one.
Yeah, number 3, right?
Yeah.
comma after predicted?
Yeah. Oh, choose at least one. Oh, so comma, add a comma after predicted. Choose at least one. So it means there's probably another one.
Hyphen in late afternoon. Because they're both modifying rally.
Let's see. I think you're right, but let's double check. Scroll down. Yep, you are correct. So we're gonna hit done answering. I'll make one comment. Some of the feedback we got after it was too late was that people were not happy with all caps and it made it harder to edit. So this year we will not have all caps font, so it should be easier to read and edit in some of these.
The second one?
Yes, is that correct? Let me look. Yeah. Okay, this is a long one. We're gonna skip this one. That was SEO friendly question. So here, this was the open-ended question. This weekend's paper will feature a story about the band that will headline the city's annual Blues Fest. What other components can you add for the web version of the story? And as I said earlier, these open-ended questions, there's no right or wrong answer. We're really just looking for your creativity. You know, there were some people who would put like a photo, and that's not that creative. But if you want to say, oh, you know, add a hyperlink to the band's website, add a link to where you can go buy tickets, run a side story about its connection to the local area, add a photo slideshow, you know, think of all the different components that you could add to a story on the web. That's what we were sort of looking at. Just like what could be your sort of creativity when you're posting content to the website. And that you know what things are capable of being posted digitally, I guess, when you're publishing. So now we go into, oh, this is another written response. We're going to skip this one. This was like sort of an ethics question. You know, it's about what, you know, you're on a scene of a crime or a scene of a fire and you have to go to print. Like, what do you post and why? Okay. I think we now go into digital media. So this is when I was talking earlier about digital literacy. So understanding the web publishing, social media, the different formats and files and best practices for all things web related. This would fall into that category. So does anyone know what the S means?
That the information is encrypted.
Yes. Oops, I didn't get a point. I didn't hit done in time, but you got it right.
WhatsApp and Instagram.
Yes. It's tricky because you never know if they could buy something else between when we did the test and when you were taking it. Testing you on file formats.
CSV.
Right. Choose one. That's it.
The first one.
Content that's not time sensitive.
That's correct.
What you see is before scrolling.
Yep. All right, this was a trickier one, but you get a minute and 30 seconds to think about it. So it says choose at least one. So what are some best practices for journalists on Twitter?
Fact check the story before retweeting.
Yep, definitely.
Separate
Have
accounts.
two
for
different
personal-
accounts.
No, that is not a good practice.
Mute or
Give
block.
shout outs and retweets to your coworkers.
Yes, that is one. And I can't remember. Let me see. Definitely don't post your personal political beliefs. I
Mute or block people who are abusive.
believe that is correct, and I believe avoid making avoid. Let's see. Let's see if I got that all right. If it was, I can't remember if it was. Yeah, those 4. So I'm gonna hit done answering. And we don't tell you when it's like, when we say choose at least 1, it could be 2, it could be 4, you don't know. So read them critically when you're going through it.
Identifying trending topics to inform newsrooms.
Newsletters.
Yeah,
Opinion polls.
I think this is a
Collect
trick
stories from
question.
readers.
I
Or
think they're
clips.
all.
Yeah.
I believe that was a tricky one. Yeah, all of them were correct. Oops. Okay. This was about how to vet sources. How do you vet sources? Especially on social media, you know, when something is going viral on social media on the spot and you have to make a decision. You know, that's what we were sort of seeing what you would do in that scenario. All right, next we go into business, I believe. I don't know if we have anyone here interested in the business. I
It's a second option.
think you're right. Let me look. Oh, C.
Oh.
I think you have to do like some math there.
Jerome Powell.
Yeah, let's see. Let me make sure. Oh, I have the key. It's missing. I have to fix that. I think you're right. I get my Janet, or is it Janet Yellen? Jerome Powell.
El Salvador.
Salvador.
Yes, that is correct. Very good.
Dogecoin.
Yes. You guys are all dipping into crypto.
Initial public
SPACs.
offering.
They are SPACs, Special Purpose Acquisition Company.
Environment, social governance.
Is it
Yes, that is correct. This was just trying to get you to think more broadly about business, that business is just not, you know, Wall Street and markets, but so which one is not? I believe
tropical storm one?
yeah, I believe that is it.
Are there more?
The mayor.
Let me look. Looks like just that one. It says choose at least one, so I'm wondering. I think that was it though.
Redlining.
Yes, you read that very fast. I guess you could tell all of those other things are not real or have to do with discriminatory practices, but yes. So this is the question that I referenced earlier, you know, where we asked about media ethics. Would you show a story
No.
to a source? And the answer is no.
No.
And this is a big red flag.
Never.
If you put yes, this was a big red flag. You know, if we were on the fence about whether or not to call you, if I saw you put yes on this question. So again, these aren't scored necessarily, but we will review them and see what you wrote. Okay, so now we go into data. Last section.
Median.
Median. Or up, yeah.
Let's consult. Let's see what they say. Median, yes.
Number of cases per 100,000.
Correct.
Old number minus new number.
Second option.
The comma separated
The
value.
first one.
Mhm.
False.
I believe you're correct. Let me just double check. Oh wait, it's true. Sorry, that's why. Okay, so grab your piece of paper while you're taking your test, write these numbers down. And you could figure this out sort of quickly because mode is the number that occurs the most, right?
There's
Second
10.
choice.
So 10 happens twice. So you know mode is 10. So that gives you narrowed it down to 2. And the median, if you put them in order, wait.
I think it's none of the above.
It is this one. I remember when we did this last year, we tested to make sure you could do it with a pad of paper. All right. It was, yeah, 100.
It's the second one.
I believe you're right. Let me, yes. And this is similar about which map would you use and why, for the state of Georgia about COVID cases. Okay, that you're done. That was a test. See how easy that is? We did it in like 20 minutes. This survey, you don't have to take. We don't see the results. This goes to higher view. So you could just X out of that and it brings you to our website. So I'm going to stop sharing and hopefully that gave you guys more confidence going into this test. Great answers, and wanted to see if you guys have any questions for me.
When will we see the results? Or can we?
You will never know the results, unfortunately. That is no one, we do guard that. I mean, maybe I see Emily was on, she took it last year, so maybe she now knows how she did on the test. If you remember your answers.
But
yeah, we do not give out the test scores. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, your test score does not make or break whether or not you get into our program. It is one factor we look at among many others. You know, we do take it seriously. Your resume, your work experience, you know, have you worked for student media? Have you worked at a previous internship? We read your essay. An essay can, really compel us and be like, we want this person in our program. So there's many different things we look at. Your interview, the video in the beginning of the test, we could just be drawn, and be like, oh, we need this person in our program. And so the test is just one factor. It's maybe where our starting point is, how we sort and look at people. But it's definitely not where we end up, and it doesn't make or break you getting in the program.
Okay, any more questions? Comments?
You guys feel more confident going into it?
All right, they're quiet.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna stop the recording if I can.
All right.